Let me take you back for a moment. Back before the noise, before the fear, before the fraud. Back to the intent of America. Because this nation was not born out of comfort. It was born out of defiance. Defiance against tyranny. Defiance against centralized power. Defiance against a government that fed itself by draining the people it claimed to serve. America was never meant to be managed. It was meant to be free. For the first 100 years of this country's existence, the federal government did something that seems almost impossible today. It lived within its means. No permanent income tax, no endless borrowing, no bloated bureaucracies. Government was funded largely by trade, not control. By commerce, not coercion. By tariffs on foreign goods, not surveillance of its own citizens. Why? Because the founders understood something we've forgotten. A government that must constantly reach into your pocket will eventually reach into your life. They feared centralized power more than they feared chaos. They feared dependency more than difficulty. They feared a government that grows itself instead of one that serves the people. So they built a system rooted in freedom, restrained by law, and limited by design. A constitutional republic, not a democracy driven by emotion, mobs, or manipulation. The federal government had a job: defend the nation, secure trade, protect liberty, and stay out of the way. Most of life, education, family, work, community, was handled locally, where accountability lived close to the people. Power flowed upward from the people, not downward from Washington. And it worked. America grew. Industries flourished. Opportunity expanded. Innovation exploded. Not because government controlled outcomes, but because freedom unleashed human potential. Now look at us. We are taxed on our labor, taxed on our savings, taxed on our property, taxed on our deaths. We are told this is normal. We're told this is necessary. We are told to be afraid. Afraid of scarcity, afraid of each other, afraid of freedom itself. Fear has become the fuel of modern governance because fear makes people compliant. Fear makes people dependent. Fear makes people accept things they never would have agreed to freely. And fraud? Fraud is what happens when systems grow so large, so complex, and so unaccountable that no one can trace responsibility anymore. Money disappears, programs fail upward, bureaucracies multiply, and somehow every crisis results in less freedom and more government. That was never the deal. The founders warned us. They warned us that when government becomes the provider instead of the protector, liberty dies quietly, paper cut by paper cut. They warned us that debt would enslave future generations. They warned us that once people trade responsibility for security, they lose both. What we're living through right now is not accidental. It is the direct result of abandoning first principles. Small government became big promises. Freedom became regulation. A constitutional republic became rules by agencies, executive orders, and unelected power. And the people were told to stop thinking, stop questioning, and just comply. But America was never built on compliance. It was built on courage, on self-governance, on personal responsibility, on the radical idea that free people can govern themselves better than rulers ever could. Freedom is not free, but it's worth defending. And the path forward does not start with new programs. It starts with remembering who we are, where we came from. We do not need a bigger government. We do not need more bureaucracies. We need a braver citizenry. We do not need more control. We need more accountability. We do not need fear. We need truth. Because when a people remember their founding, when they reclaim their responsibility, when they demand limits on power, corruption loses oxygen. Fraud loses cover up. Fear loses its grip. America does not need to be reinvented. America needs to be remembered. Freedom, small government, a constitutional republic. That was the foundation. And it's time we rebuild from the ground up, not with fear, not with fraud, but with truth, courage, and principle. Question everything and abolish the IRS.